Then we'll just jump in. Yo, what's good, everybody? Today is May the 6th, 2025. Most gracious and heavenly Father, God, we just thank you, God, for another day's allowing us to see yet another day, oh God. We ask you, God, that you bless the viewers as well as the nice guests. And LJ, nephew, we ask you, God, that we just ask you, God, that you bless our conversation, oh God. And we give your name the praise, glory, and honor. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Yo, what's good, everybody? Let me know what platform you guys are tuning in on. We're gonna get started with the show. Happy Born Day to everybody that celebrated over the course of the last week. I want to give a special Born Day shout out to my cousin and Mr. J.U. Ice himself, number 54. Happy Born Day. Today is his born day. Happy Born Day, cuz. You know that I love you, man. Big ups to you on your special day. It was a beautiful condolences, and please keep the Mark continue to keep the Mark family in prayer. They had a beautiful service for our sister, West Side alumni that I graduate, one of my classmates, Charmaine Mark, that passed away last week. They had a beautiful service for her on this previous week. So continue to please keep her family in prayer and everybody else that lost someone over the course of this last week. And I've been getting mad different reports on people losing loved ones, family members, brothers, sisters, aunties, uncles, nephews, children. So just let's keep everyone in prayer, in our prayers in general. Is one thing that I've come to know at this age is, the longer that we live, the more death that we're going to see. That's inevitable. But it seems like, deaths are at an all-time high now. So let's really just keep one another uplifted in prayer and support on one another. And which is why I end the show like I do every single week. Let's be intentional about spending time with the people that mean something to us and making time for one another while we yet can. Because once they're gone, and you can't go back. You can't get no do-overs. We don't want to take anything for granted. You know what I mean? We don't want to leave anything out there. Well, Marv know how I felt about him. No, I don't know how you feel about me unless you actually tell me, unless you actually put it into words. So let's stop assuming, let's stop taking it for granted and spend time and be intentional about showing our love to one another while we yet can. I think that is valuably important and is very important to do so. With that being said, we're going to jump into the show. As you guys come in, let me know what platform you're watching on, whether it be Facebook or the YouTube channel. And please, if you haven't already, please go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. That's the Marvin Bennett Jr. Show on YouTube. It's free for subscription. You're not paying for anything. So please just hit the like, share, and share with your family, for friends. If you want to have regular good conversation. Let me know what you guys wanted, and if you guys got any questions for myself or tonight's guest, put it in the comments and we'll get back to it. As I always let you guys know too as well, even if you comment on the show on the YouTube or Facebook after the show has aired and is not actually live, I still get those comments as well, and we'll get back to them. So please feel free to add your comments or questions to the chat, and we'll get to them. That being said, I want to introduce tonight's guest. Special dude to my heart. Like, this is not one, it is crazy. I always try to tell people I thank God for what I call godly relationships. This is not a dude that we actually grew up together. We met by happenstance, so to speak. So some people would say, but like I said, I call them godly relationships because God knew how influential he would be in my life when we actually did come together. And I don't take him for granted. But he's been a former guest of the show as well. Author, father extraordinaire, my boy, my brother, John Singletary. What's good, John?
What's going on, man? I appreciate that that intro, man. All of the words, man. But yeah, man, family, man. Let me tell y'all something too, man. I got beef with Marvin Marv, man. Yeah. I got beef, man, because not only am I all these things that he said, but I also produced this clip, and he don't even be using it. Y'all check this out. I'm gonna have to make you a new one, man. But for all this time, man,
No
I
doubt.
looked up, man.
I swear, what's funny is I literally looked at it the other week, dude. I still have not learned. People, please believe me when I tell you, yo, I'm super illiterate when it comes to this. People like, yo, you doing a show like I literally hit the button that says go live, and that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
literally
yeah.
it. I mean, I want to do that, be able to play clips and stuff within, the show and different promos like that. There, oh my god, I haven't learned how to do it yet. You know what I'm saying? But
I
I
just
definitely got to
loaded
do
it
that to
up,
you,
man.
bro.
I just loaded it up. So on the right side of your screen, if you click on media assets, the Marvin Bennett Jr.
Okay.
show intro is right there in your media clips now. I just loaded that because so what happened, man, not too maybe about a year ago, man, when you first jumped on this thing, you allowed me access to come in and be able to see all your stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I still got access like that. So when I came in, I'm like, oh man, I can see all this stuff. I could co-host the show and do all that stuff because I got all the access to be messing around and doing clips. So we're gonna have a good time today,
I'm telling
man.
you, bro. I have no idea. Do what you do because I have no idea about anything, bro.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you know that
No.
told me how to go from banner to. I was so happy that I learned how to do the ticker.
Hey, listen,
That was like a milestone
all
for
of
me.
us ain't able to come on the show and just keep people with our raw charisma, man. That's a talent.
Yeah.
Some of us need technology to help us get through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
And like I
Yeah.
said, I definitely want to get you back sometime next week. Like, what's crazy to me is, bro, next week. I mean, I'm sorry, not next week, but next month. Literally, like in 3 or 4 weeks, man, we'll be celebrating 5 years of the Marvin Bennett Jr. show, man. That's like super duper crazy to me. And I'm gonna have an announcement around that time for what we're gonna be doing in the future. But man, it's crazy that like Biggie said, it was all a dream, bro. I never thought that. First of all, I just posted it. You know what I mean? As a joke. Like, man, if I started the show, man, would y'all tune in and check it out? And people like, oh my God, yeah, man. Like, yo, your take. I don't always agree with everything you say, but I love your perspective and
Yeah,
you
man.
really got the
Yeah.
personality for and whatnot. And to think that, we just went out there, I just tried it, got a little app that I could go live and started it. And here it is 5 years later, bro. We still here, man. Like, I just want to thank all the viewers, all the supporters over the course of the years, all the guests, everybody that's in the comments, what have you, man. It's super. I'm so excited about coming up on 5 years, man, because it's just amazing. I'm almost speechless, and that's very rare to find me speechless. I don't know how to put it into words how it make me feel, but I want to thank you guys because I'm nothing without you all. You know what I mean? Like I tell you guys all the time, one of the things that I taught my sons is the only thing that you could do in this world by yourself is be lonely. You know what I mean? Like, so I have no show without you guys, the viewers and the supporters, man. So I don't take you guys for granted. And I appreciate you guys over the course of the years and even people reaching out to me. Like, I'll never forget the first phone call that I got for somebody asking me, could they come on the show? Like, wow, like what? Of course you could come on the show. Just let me know what you want to do, what you want to talk about. And it was Arthur. Um, Through it all, we're still standing. I remember the name of the title of the book. It was a group of 9 young ladies that put out a book. Through it all, we're still standing. And they always, one of the authors that I knew personally, she wanted to come on the show and promote the book. So, that was an amazing episode too, just to hear these different young ladies and things that they triumphed and overcome in their life, whether it be addiction, whether it be divorce and different things of that nature there. Just, coming to a place, coming on this platform to, just share their experience, man. So I really thank everybody over the course of the years, man. So with that being said, man, how you been doing, man? How LJ doing, man?
Man, I've been doing good. LJ is doing good. He back here. I think the folks might have heard him singing his song a little bit, I try to judiciously use my mute button, but he home. So like, he got every right to be excited and enjoy his time, you know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
no, we doing good, man. We just I was laughing with somebody. I was like, I'm in a stage of life where nothing's too high, but it ain't too low. So like I'm really practicing gratitude because sometimes you can be to a place where you don't appreciate the fact that things are just consistent. Because we go through periods where it's anything but consistent, but we're not chasing waterfalls, we sticking to the rivers and the lakes that we used to, you know what I'm saying? So all is well, man. We blessed. We ain't complaining, man. We soldiering on forward. And I'm excited to be on the show, man. I appreciate you, man. My schedule lightened up, man. I'm on a quick little summer break from school. So, my evenings cleared up a little bit, man. And you were like, can you come on the show? And I'm like, bet, your timing is perfect. Yes, I can come on the show this week.
No
You
doubt,
know what
man.
I'm saying? Yeah, so
I like to just be able to chop it up, man. Hey, shout out to my Knicks too, man. We got that game one. Before we get into the heavy topics tonight, we got that game one victory last night, and a lot of people been back and forth and excited about it. I've been seeing different posts and what have you, different takes on different outlets, and I'm like, not to toot my own horn, so to speak, but this is what made me different as an athlete, as a teammate, why I'm a leader, and why I'm that dude. You know what I'm saying? I never might have not never made it to the league, but people like, I could just imagine they disposition from Jalen Brunson, OG, Ananobi, whatever, Cat last night. But as soon as we stepped foot in that locker room last night, I would have been going off. Me personally, as a Knick player, as a Knick fan, I'd have been going off on my teammates like, yo, how dare they disrespect us like that? They used us for a live practice, bro. These jokers in the third quarter, they shot 20 shots and 19 of them was 3-pointers, yo. And we won it overtime by 3. So let's not get too high. I take that as a sign of disrespect. You know what I mean? It's like they coach saying, you know what? Hey, they first of all, they ain't beat us all year. They ain't beat none of the teams that matter during the regular season. And the regular season and the postseason are two different things. I get that. But how dare you just say we're going to jack up all these dudes missed 45 3-pointers in the game, bro. You know what that's equivalent to 135 points.
They missed 45 3-pointers.
That's a potential 135 points, bro. You know what I mean? Like, how dare you have the audacity to even come at me like that, yo? I would feel so violated that, you know what I mean? Like, being that we stole this game one, yo, we about to. It's like being in jail, bro. We taking it to the yard right now. You know what I mean? It ain't about no COs. Like the sign of this that's the way I took it. You know what I'm saying? Or that's the way I would have taken it as a play, as opposed to, well, we came up here, we did what we stole one, and we cool with that. No, you can't be cool with that. You know what I'm saying? You got to take that, for me, you got to take that as a sign of disrespect. Because like you said, for the set of NFL all-time NBA record with 45 misses, that was absolutely absurd to me. So, shout out to the Knicks, and we, happy to be up 1-0. And then the OKC game, I had it on. I wasn't really watching it, but I had it on. I'm like, how in the world did OKC blow this, bro? Like, I think it was the third quarter. I seen Shea hit a shot, and I'm like, oh my goodness, yo, the game is over right here at this point. I ain't really got to even pay attention at this point. And then I'm looking at, oh my goodness. I started looking because I had the TV on mute. I had it on, but I had it on mute. I said, yo, what just happened? I had to go back.
I didn't see that till this morning on my ESPN. I was long gone with that game, but I mean that was, well, to speak to what you said about the Knicks, man. Here's the first thing, man. All of it on the off season, everybody was clowning because of what they gave up to get Michael Bridges, man. And man, last night he played 51 out of 53 possible minutes. Showed up, man, took them dog assignments. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like grit, man. And I like what you said, man, because it always kind of, I'm just gonna say what I feel, man. I hate listening to people talk about sports that ain't never really done it. And I'm like, yo, when you a competitor,
Yeah,
like you don't go out and look at the other team and be like, oh, they better than us, and I'm gonna defer it. I'm like, if you're a real competitor, that's that's clown talk, man. Like I don't care what your rank is or what they think of you. I'm gonna go at you
yeah.
because I do this too. Like they made a funny statement. They was like the gap between Brian Scalabrine and the average person is hundreds of times larger than the gap between Brian Scalabrine and LeBron James. And it's true. I mean, we know LeBron James is way better than Brian Scalabrine. But I mean, they are professional NBA players that can run up and down the court for 3 to 4 hours at a time, 82 times in a season. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get tired walking down the steps.
Yeah.
So now I'm with you on that, man. But with that OKC, I still need them to show that they can handle teams with experience, man. And that's what got them last year and we let them have that excuse last year that they were still young and they didn't get it. But man, Joe put on a clinic last night. Like, yo, like I know it ain't a lot that you can do, but dang. Yo, man, he was everywhere doing everything, man. So yeah, they gotta prove it, man. And that kid SGA though, he got what it takes to do it, man. So
Oh, no doubt,
he
no
a
doubt
bad
about it.
boy. That's a bad boy.
I think what it's going to come down to is how Chet handled himself. You know what I mean in that particular series there, because I was asking my brother yesterday. I said, yo, I said, have we ever seen like the MVP finalists going head to head in a playoff series? I was like, off the top of my head, I can't recall.
What it was like Magic and Bird, neither one of them.
Exactly. Like it was ages ago. Like
it was ages ago. Yeah, it ain't been in the modern era,
yeah. So I was
Cause
like, it's cool that and Kenny Smith, shout out to Kenny Smith. Kenny Smith, he hit the nail on the head to me. He said, like to me, what it's going to come down to is like, first of all, you got the top two contenders. Is either one of theirs award to lose, but the difference is like the other players, the role players, because nobody can stop SGA. Let's be clear on Denver. Like Russell is older now. Like Russell can't. Shea gonna be able to do whatever he want to do, and the same is true when it comes to Denver. Denver has no inside preference to stop Joker. So the MVPs are going to give you MVP performances. It's going to really come down to what does the other players do.
It's gonna come down to them Aaron Gordons hitting them last minute 3-pointers. Yeah, it's gonna come down to that. Yeah. Because I mean, Jamal Murray can go, nuclear at any given time, man. And that's a punch that Denver has been missing. Like he can't consistently find it. If he can figure out how to consistently find it,
Denver's scary.
Yeah.
There's a reason that they just won a championship.
It's a reason.
You know what I mean? Because both of those guys are that dude, man. We talked about it a little bit last week before we get into the serious topics. But we talked about it a little last week, man. What's your take on the whole Shedeur Sanders issue, man?
Man, I'm real firm on we know what that was. You know what I'm saying? We know that it was racial. We know that it was to humble Dion. Like, we know it was all of that. Well, I won't say we. It is clearly that to me. Because all of he rubbed some teams wrong. So the Giants are gonna say he was too cocky, but then they picked Jackson Dart because they said he had swagger. Like, really?
And I'm a Giant fan. Let's be clear. That's code word for white boy swagger.
Yeah,
like, we're not gonna. First of all, the Giants, and I hate to admit it, but I've said this for a while now. Like, we definitely a racist team, in my opinion.
Let's level set. Let's level set. There ain't no non-racist team in the league. Okay. Everybody, to an extent, they hide it better. Like everybody was hollering about how great the Eagles were, and then the owner went up there to the White House to see Trump this year. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they all get together and collude. What I would say is that some of them, like a lot of people might say that Jerry Jones is one of the more racist, and I wouldn't argue that. But I think he's just old and more willing to take heat for it. But I mean, people here in DC, man, they in love with Josh Harrison. I said, don't fall too in love with him. He a billionaire white man. Like, let's be clear where his loyalty lies. You know what I'm saying? Don't get fooled. So, yeah, I mean, the Giants. I wouldn't say the Giants as an organization. I think specifically is Dable. I think he. I don't think he's full on racist, but I think he like his quarterback nice and white. I think that's what it is with him.
And like I said, playing the game, like not on that level, of course, but him, I'm not giving him a pass, but I understand it. One, he understands that his job is on the line. Let's start there. Right.
So he went and got two guys so he got a Russ Wilson with the talent they got, Malik Neighbors, and the talent they got. Russ can keep him afloat.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And if something happened to Russ, Jameis Winston, it depends on the good or the bad you can get, but he can sling the ball. I don't care what you say about he can sling the rock. You know what I'm saying?
Although there's as many interceptions as he do touchdowns. You're right.
He's gonna be known more for his sideline speeches and his crazy but you got people that are gonna be more consistent than what they've trotted out the last 2 years. And then he can say that Jackson Dart is his thing of the future, man. But man, you know what? They could have really been set. I don't think, like, for him to say, well, I wanted somebody with arm strength, Jackson Dart ain't got it. He got to dang swing his body to throw it deep. He ain't got it either. I mean, does he run more? He's not more athletic than Shador. He runs more. He puts it on display. Because Shador looked like a camper when he running, but I mean, he ain't got that top end speed, but he preferred to be a pocket passer.
Yeah.
So.
And that was one of my biggest knocks watching Shador's career. Like, to me, I think that he fed into the stereotype a little bit too much to show them, like, you know what, like that Dan Marino type mentality. No, I'm going to, even though I could possibly, not saying that Dan Marino could have ran, but I know that you guys want a pocket passer, and then that you guys say that all these black quarterbacks, so to speak, they're good, but they're good and great because of their runability. I don't even want to put myself in that conversation, so I'm going to limit it my own running. Like, no, bruh. You got to go out. I understand that mentality, but you got to throw that out the window, because if there's a difference between you taking a sack and you just running 7 yards for a first down, dude, you live on the play another set of downs, bruh. Like, if you got to get that 7 yards on the ground, do it, because he's definitely more than capable of running. I think that he just made up in his mind to say, you know what, I'm not going to be labeled as a passer / running quarterback, fitting the mold of the stereotype. And I think that kind of played a detriment into how he his outlook on the position. Was like, you got to realize on this next level and the brand of the NFL, bruh, they could talk all that, say they could say that all they want to. At the end of the day, all they really care about is winning and filling up those stands and selling tickets. You know what I mean? How marketable you are. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, I hear you, but I mean, my guy threw for 4,134 yards, 37 touchdowns, and a 74% completion rate. So I can hear you being mad at him, but I'm just like, a white quarterback could have done half of that and gone in the first round.
There you go.
So
that's definitely,
like, I think that sometimes we get, like, yeah, sure, I don't mind finding fault with Deion or Shador or how they did it or what they did, but that's not to blame the why. I mean, even if you didn't see him as a first round pick, we're not talking about we're not talking about his parents and this, that, and other. We're talking about the talent. We're talking about what we saw on the field, the stats. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about that. We're not talking about all this other stuff, man. Like, and the stats say that any other Cowboys in the house, TJ, yes, sir.
Lord have mercy. That's my brother, and I love him, boy. I swear. That was my left tackle in high school, man. You know what I mean? He protected that blind side for me, so I could never hate on him. But we definitely had conversations when it comes to football. Him being a Cowboy fan and I'm a Giant fan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
It's only a handful of you Cowboy fans that I actually tolerate and let in my circle.
Hey, man, I'll be quick to tell you, man. Yeah, I personally, I'm not a fan of Cowboy fans that aren't self-aware. Listen, I know we suck. We the only team that ain't been to the NFC Championship in this century, decade, or millennium. You know what I'm saying? Well, not millennium. That's strong. We ran the early 90s, but yeah, man. But everybody else, I think everybody else, but no, I think we it. Because I think Washington was last.
Mm-hmm.
And they went to the NFC Championship game last year. So, man, we ain't even got close, man. People are like, well.
That's the key difference for me. Like, the hate is real. And I said it last week when we talked about it on the show. Like, fans are the really ones that's dumb enough to go into all this fighting and arguing amongst each other. To your point earlier, these dudes have a meeting every year. They all boys with one another, these owners.
Oh, facts. Facts. That's super
facts. No love lost. You know what I mean? Like I said, to me personally, I felt like last week, in terms of the draft, I mentioned it last week. I felt in terms of the draft, it was like, you know what? We don't like this attitude that Dion is coming with. You know what I mean? So we gonna get at him by getting at his son because ain't nobody bigger than the Shield. You know what I mean? So, and I like I tell people, try to think about it like this. It's two key factors to me. Before the draft started, we all knew that the order was, if nobody did no changes, it was Tennessee, Cleveland, and the Giants. Do you really think that it was coincident that even though it was the 5th round, that Cleveland was the team that selected him, having the 2nd pick, and he's supposed to be like arguably one of the top 3 picks? I think what it was they all had that meeting, that conference call together and said, listen, you know what? Cleveland, we're going to still let y'all get him, but ain't nobody taking this dude because we're going to see if this going to humble him or not, if this going to change his disposition, if, you know what I mean? We going to do that. You know what I mean? There you go, Tom. It was all fixed. I'm telling you, bro. I said the same thing, bro. It was all fixed. It was part of the plan. That's what I'm saying. I believe they all convoluted together and said, listen.
Facts. That's 100%. Ain't no argument there.
We're going to let y'all get them, but we got to send a message to Dion. Cleveland, y'all already, first of all, y'all the team that messed up giving Deshaun Watson this $230 million.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we all got to pay quarterbacks.
They was all mad about him fully guaranteeing that. That was a big problem. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. So that was the beginning. Like, we got to take the power because now.
And they basically were saying, we're not going to allow y'all to get a quality draft pick. Because let's say they went with the lineman in the 1st round and then picked him up in the 2nd. That really puts their organization in a good place because now they got a really talented rookie quarterback, a rookie contract. Deshaun Watson, man, he not going to be ready to play until maybe November, December, because they just did surgery again on that torn Achilles in January. And, it take a year to really get back, especially a mobile quarterback. And, then they would have been in a position where they could have just ate that last year of his contract and moved on and had a bona fide starter and a team that they built around it. But now they was like, you know what? We're going to make y'all pay. We're going to make y'all load up. Man, they got a room of clowns in their quarterback room. You know what I'm saying? they went that. No disrespect, man. He's a spunky kid, and I don't like talking back because they just babies. They just But my man is 5'10" and a half. That kid that they got from Oklahoma, like Dylan Gabriel, like for real. We already know Kenny Pickett ain't worth nothing. And Joe Flacco at 40, like, yeah, he had a good run for y'all 2 years ago, but last year with the Colts, we saw what it really is. He washed.
Yeah.
Washed. So.
And I was surprised they let Jameis go. Because
I was too.
I definitely would have brought him back. You know what I mean?
Man, absolutely.
But and you ain't even factor in the fact that if I'm Deshaun Watson, that's a whole nother theory. I don't even really want to get into that. But I always say, like, if I was in the same position as Deshaun Watson, I would have jacked it up for everybody to cover the future. Like, Lamar wouldn't have got paid. Nobody would have got paid because once you gave me that guaranteed money, depending on how the contract is built, I might have went ahead and retired then. You know what I'm saying? Or played one down and have been gone. Like, so they would have been like, nobody else would have got, I would have messed it up for everybody else.
Nah, all they would have had to do is file a grievance and the NFL would have sided on the side of the team.
So that's the point that I'm making. Because, guaranteed, like I always tell people too, like that's one thing we got to take into consideration. The word guarantee when it comes to NFL contracts is not exactly what the word means.
Nah.
There is red tape behind that. So I would have did whatever I had to do to get my money, but I would have did the bare minimum. But the point I was making was,
you could argue that that's what he's done.
Well, there you go. That's my point. Dude.
You could argue that. But now what I would say to that is, when you talk about Deshaun Watson, man, we always got to kind of like put ourselves in their shoes. Like me and you played ball back in the day. Like I played mostly high school, man. I went and tried to walk on in college, but man, they practiced too long, man. I ain't had no scholarship. I couldn't do all that. But yeah, you play ball, and you see how we felt about it in high school. Imagine you go do it at the highest level for 4 years in college, 3-4 years, and then imagine you doing it the highest level in the NFL. Like, the one thing I can probably say about Deshaun Watson is it probably ain't even in him to just turn his back on the game. Like, he probably was miserable the year he was away when he got suspended. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, for me, because if I ran a 40 right now, I'd probably run a 40 in about 10 seconds. So, for me, it's quick to say, yeah, I'd just take that money and run. But, for them, man, that's their life. That's their structure. That's all they know, man. These cats get out of ball and they be lost. So.
True indeed. But at the same time, also, I know mad people in the pros over the course of years in the NBA that have played professional in NBA and NFL. And one thing that I try to tell people is that a lot of times we that have a limited career experience when it comes to sports that we don't understand is like, on our level, we, like, to your point, we play for the love of the game. We're going to play even if they don't pay us, you know what I mean? Because this is what we love to do. When it comes to the pro level, though, bro, that's why do you think you got like Matt Barnes and Derek Fisher going like
TJ with that
we
point.
know we're not the level of teammates that we know it as. These dudes are co-workers, bro. You know what I mean? On the highest level ever. They ain't teammates. They ain't taking weekends, spending weekends together and bonds and all that there. They sleeping with each other wives and sizing their own. They're just co-workers, bro, at the end of the day. And to your point, like, when it comes to Deshaun Watson, man, it's like the thing that really gets me is like, even if I did it for the love of the game, I don't even want to be here no more. Like, I'm gonna do what I got to do, not to mess my bag up, but for you garbage fans of the city of Cleveland, I'm saying it, for you guys to cheer when I get injured. You know what I mean? I'm out here, like you say, I'm giving it all that I got.
Oh, we got a problem. We got a problem.
Y'all cheer when I get hurt.
We got a problem. Yeah, y'all do that. Oh,
I'm done. I'm done in Cleveland.
It's up forever.
Exactly. It ain't no coming back from this, bro. There's nothing that you could do. I don't want no shares of the team, no nothing, bro. I'm done with y'all. It was all about ratings, the most watched ever in the history of the NFL draft for 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds. if you go back to the call with the coach after the pick, we told you now, let's go to the work. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's funny that you would have mentioned that because like they said, isn't it? He broke the record already, 5th round, but the highest selling rookie jersey in the league. So that's one of the things that bothers me. As much as I love sports, I have a hard time with sports in this day and age that we live now because I think the integrity of all sports across the money. I think money has corrupted the integrity of all sports. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, you always got to question it because
here's the thing, man. You know how people get mad and they say, "Man, why everything got to be about race?" But it is, because none of these sports leagues were making money before they allowed black players in. Like all of these sports rankings and all this, that, and the other. That's credit to desegregating sport leagues. And once they desegregated them, and then all this, that, and the other, and it started becoming a big ticket. That's when these owners like to be in control, and it's this money. So, like, that's another nuance to it. By drawing that out, I love what TJ said, man. By drawing that out, they made the NFL made all kind of money. Because I remember people were saying, "Hey, don't go buy his team jersey, like go to his website or whatever," because yo, man, the NFL making all kind of money off of him now because and like TJ said, man, the highest rated. And like TJ said again, Prime wanted him to go to Cleveland.
Yeah.
You know what's happening? Both of us is clicking on that button at the same time. That's why I keep going down like that. But yeah, man, that's facts. That's facts, man. And the integrity of the game, man, it is financial. No, you didn't say nothing wrong about these. They co-workers. They ain't teammates, but at the same time, to add juice to your argument, because I totally agree, is that they socialize. There's a certain way that they used to being treated, the way they had their days set up. They used to being in that. So yeah, maybe they don't have the same love for the game that some of us had. Because I think, man, back when me and you balled back in the 90s, we didn't even imagine that money like that was out there. You know what I'm saying? We just loved the ball. Like, you love to put a helmet on somebody, had a pigskin in your hand. Like, it was just like that. But man, these kids be knowing early on, they be little baby prime times. They be in Pop Warner with their name on their jerseys and embroidered handkerchiefs and stuff. Like,
it is so disgusting, man. It is. I mean, it's so disgusting. Years ago, about 10 years ago, I used to coach Pop Warner, and I really had to let it go. You know what I mean? One, I wanted to be able to coach my son, but then I really found the love for coaching. And me and my boy, shout out to my boy Hot Rod, he was always talking about he had this place where he thinking about coaching and all that there. And I was asking, he was like, "Yo," he's like, "I don't know if I could do little kids though, man." And I said, I'm gonna tell you something. I used to be the same way too, because when we grow up in the hood, how he is, I gotta be able to talk to you the same way my coaches talk to me. You know what I'm saying? And that was like, if my parents had to know some of the conversations that I had with my coaches, like, I
would man. Like, I just think about what my high school coach used to say about catching a football, man. And I was like, it had to do with male and female anatomy. And I'm like, saying, man, like, there was some crazy conversations, man. They would just talk crazy for no reason.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Coach Whip. Thomas could confirm this. Like, he was like a master comedian, right? And what's funny is, John, so you don't know, but what was crazy was we used to always like be a joke because he made it to the league. He graduated from, I think, from Mississippi, one of the HBCUs back in the day. He went into like the 15th round, right? And then you go, Thomas, to the hills, goddamn. But when he's like, you drop passes in practice. One of my favorite ones, he's like, "God damn, son, you could catch gonorrhea and affect the whole house." Yo, he used to have us rolling.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the funny thing is, we talk about the Browns. He actually played for the Cleveland Browns, right? But check this out. We always, cause back then you gotta remember in the 90s, we didn't have social media and all that there. We couldn't look up stats and all that there. So when all that stuff started coming out, I said, let me try to go back and look at some of Coach's numbers. Like, this dude was third string for the Cleveland Browns. This mug was playing behind Jim Brown. and what's the movie, The Express? The other kid from Ernie, what is it, Ernie? So it's like, you ain't never seen the film, bro. If you play behind two Hall of Famers, bro. Oh my God, we used to crack up over that, man. But like you said, it's a different day and age, man. And the point I was making was, it was like, I tried to tell him, was like, the reason that I liked coaching younger kids, even though I thought I would despise it, because I didn't want to censor myself. You sold me out for a hot dog and a $2 party to the hills. Yeah. Word is born times. I forgot all about that one. He used to get mad, like when we would be down in the games, whatever. Like a few of us, when we would break curfew the night before. That boy said, you sold me out for a $2 party and a hot dog. I fixed that. Go to the hills. Now, he used to have us running like crazy, bro. But what I was telling him was, when it comes to coaching, when you love the game like you say we do, the benefit of coaching the youth is, I say, to me, it's like a unused easel, if you're an artist, so to speak. They don't have any bad habits. So they taking everything that you say and treating it like it's the Bible. That's why I like to coach the youth, because I'm teaching you 3-point stance. And my philosophy, which is why you got to have a coaching staff, is because I literally didn't care about wins and losses. You know what I mean? That's my partner Black. Shout out to Black. That's his job. You know what I mean? Because I'd rather teach you the fundamentals, because this is going to take you farther in life. It's not about the right and wrongs. Whereas opposed to when you coach in high school, you gotta kind of, my coach told me how to do that. Ain't a proper 3-point stance, young man. You know what I mean? As a receiver, you need to always keep your inside foot up. Just those little things. I'm able to teach you all these things here, and you're gonna take what I say. Ain't gonna be no back and forth. I ain't gotta hear about what you learned from here. You know what I mean? And then when you move on to the next level, they're gonna be like, you know what? This kid came from coach. Like I said, we coached for 3 years. We got over 7 players that's in the league right now. You know what I mean? So, we knew what we was talking about, and we knew we had a blueprint and a philosophy that we stuck to. You know what I mean? So I always told him, he said, man, you got a good point. I said, yeah, man, youth football is really where it's at. Now, having said that, the thing that got me disgusted and got me away from it was, like, especially in football. Football is a little different than basketball, but we all know that we got peaks. So let's say in football, you got like a 5-year peak where you maximize everything that you could do. Do you want to really have your peak at 10 years old or 15 years old, or do you want to have it at 20 to 25 years old? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, to your point, you got these little kids out here that's playing Pop Warner, playing AAU basketball, that's people treating them like they the next LeBron James, like they're the next Barry Sanders, they the next this and that there. And it's like, dude, you probably ain't even gonna make your high school team, man. Cut it out, yo. You too young to be having an ego, bruh. Like, you dominating on Pop Warner level, bruh. Stop letting this stuff go to your head. But it's so, back to getting on the money, it's so much money involved these days, where it's like, I remember, I tell people all the time, and me and my son go back and forth with this, because my son, he worked with the NC State women's basketball team. So he's big in the, women athletics and basketball, and 2 players. Shout out to my girls, Sanaa. 2 of their players made it to the WNBA. They made it in the draft this year, first round picks in the draft. And
yeah, is he recruiting for the class of 2026?
I don't know.
My niece is nice.
Oh yeah? Give me your information. I'll definitely tell him to check out. Because he be up that way. He be up that way a lot too.
She in Charleston right now, but we just went down to Hampton for the Boo The Boo Williams AAU. So they AAU team is second in the nation.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, that's local for us. He'll definitely could be able to go down there and check it out. You know what I mean? Because he matter of fact, the last 2 years he actually got to work with Kenny Smith camp at UNC. So he big into it. He big on women's sports, man. I'm proud of him for that. You know what I mean? Like me, I like if he down with it, I'm supporting my son. So by product, I'm a NC State women's lady pack fan. You know what I'm saying? Because my son is a part of it. But one of the things that I always try to tell him is like it's different eras. You know what I mean? We got different mentalities. It's like the money has corrupted so much. You know what I mean? It's like I don't trust the integrity no more. Like I said, back in our day, I played because we didn't win no games. Thomas could confirm that. We didn't win no games, but you ain't want no smoke with us either. You know what I mean? Like we were solid football players. It's just that our coaching all that did, I would break the huddle as a quarterback, and you got the defense before we even get to the line of scrimmage calling out what we playing because we only got 3 plays. Like, yo, coach, why are we running these same plays over and over again? But we had talent like Mark Caesar that played for the University of Miami. That was one of our older classmen. You know what I mean? He played with Warren Sapp and all that did. He came from our high school. You know what I mean? So we always had the talent. And talent wasn't a question, but it didn't always equate the wins and losses either. You know what I mean? I wouldn't trade none of my teammates for nothing. You know what I mean? Thomas came in at 6'5", like 280 as a freshman in high school, bro. You gotta hear him tell a story about how he got on the football team, John. We had a show, like a reunion show. He was telling the story. I didn't even remember it until he said it. He was like, "Yo, it was my fault." He said, "I downed him out." He said, I met him like as a freshman. And it was like we had like freshman orientation. They coming to see what the high school like, and I seen him in the auditorium, whatever. I'm like, "Yo, man, you play football?" He was like, "Nah." He said, "I was like, okay." I went straight to my coach office, like, "Yo, is this big dude coming in, coach? Make sure." My bad, Thomas. I ain't mean to undercut you. 6'5", 320 as a freshman, bro.
Get it right. Get it right.
All I thought about was myself. Like, he ain't gonna let nobody get to me. I don't care whether you play football or not, bro. You about to start the day. You about to start the day. I went and told my coach, man. My coach was on the lookout for him before he even registered for school. Man. That's how he got on the team. What Sam say? People used to be paid based off their work. Now they are paid off potential. Too much entitlement, in my opinion. I agree with that too, Sam. Which is why I was like that with LeBron. Like back in the day, it was like, and of course LeBron became LeBron. But my issue was back then, like, how this dude get $90 million and he's never even stepped foot on the court yet? Like, God forbid he had been like Len Bias or broke an ankle or whatever. He got $90 million and he never dribbled the ball before. You know what I mean? I ain't got no problem with you getting that money when you work for it. But to your point, like I said back in the day, we played for the love of the game. You see Charles Barkley, all them jokers coming out the locker room with their fingers taped up, you know what I'm saying, for $1 million. Now, you got dudes sitting on the end of the bench making $9 million, don't even have to take a shower after the game, thinking about what club they're going to buy up. You know what I mean? Why do they care about being the greatest? I already got the bag. I changed my whole family life, so I don't really care about being better than Michael Jordan. I don't care about what y'all talking about. It's a different mentality. And I'm not saying that is wrong, but I definitely noticed the difference. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, we talked about sports way too long, man. I wanted to talk about
I know, right? We dedicated the first hour to sports.
I wanted to talk about a story that kind of disturbed me, man. This previous week in the Rodney Hinton. You know what I mean? You ain't even gotta worry about that one. Hey, what's good, my brother? But Rodney Hinton Jr. Okay. So for those that don't know, it's been a story about before I get into that, we got to stop overusing the word hate. You know, Mar said it on a previous show before. Like, we be throwing that word great around too much. like we got to stop you overusing the word great. I'm going as far as to say we got to stop overusing the word hate. And I didn't get a chance to pull it up, but I was going back and forth. I don't like typing. So that's one reason I don't really be going back and forth in the comments like I be wanting to. You know what I mean? You can hit me on the line and we could go back and forth that way, but I don't like typing. And I had made a post or something about when the Lakers was playing Minnesota. And I was saying something about LeBron. And my opinion, LeBron is not the greatest. I don't even think LeBron deserves to be in the GOAT conversation. You know, stats to me don't dictate your greatness. Now, that's just my opinion. I ain't saying that you wrong if you know what I mean? But I was saying something, I was like, the question that I had asked was, for most people, especially of our age, I stopped talking to sports with people that was born after 2000. I don't even go back and forth with them people because all y'all got is YouTube. You never seen Michael Jordan in real time. You never seen Tim Duncan in real time. You never seen AI. You never seen Shaq. So that's why y'all idiots out here talking about Paul George is the GOAT. Like, that's disrespectful to the game. That's disrespectful to the game by far. For Carmelo Anthony's own son to say Paul George is the GOAT. Like, that's mad disrespectful, bro.
So you ever heard Jeff Teague tell the story about when the Pacers was in the playoffs and CJ hit that shot, or he shot that shot. Yeah, he shot that shot in game 5 and missed it. And then Paul George go on interviews talking about, yeah, I gotta have that shot. I gotta have that shot. And then in the next game, because it was that Gatorade commercial out of him hitting that clutch 3, and then that next game he shot that 3 and airballed it, he bricked it. He said they was in the locker room playing that Gatorade commercial talking about this wasn't it.
Like, it's mad disrespectful, man.
Paul George is the greatest what?
That exactly. He might not
even be the greatest pacer.
Yeah, he might not even be the GOAT in his family.
He might be the greatest player to ever come out of Palmdale, California.
Yeah, or his block.
That ain't saying a lot though, because Palmdale is small. Been there a couple of times. It ain't much in Palmdale.
And that's my point. Like a perfect example. Me and my son were talking last week, and we were talking about this same thing. He was like, "Yo," he said, when it comes to, I told you he's big in the women's basketball, especially on the college level, working with NC State. And he's like, "Yo, I love Dawn Staley, but I absolutely hate South Carolina women's basketball." And he said, the reason that I say that I hate, he said, because I literally don't have any reason for it. That, by definition, is hate. My whole thing was, how could you consider LeBron James the GOAT when he's not even the best at his position? You know, you got people that put Larry Bird above him. You got people that put Dominic, you know what I mean? We old enough to know and see Dr. J. Like, so how could you be the greatest player of all time and you're not even the greatest player at your one position? And here they come back in the comments. Oh man, here you go, man. The hate for LeBron. Like, no, it's not hate, man. Let's stop overusing that word. Just because I don't agree with you don't mean that it's hate. You know what I mean? I'm giving you reasons why I feel the way that I do. You know what I mean? That's not hate. But just because he's your guy, we got to stop that, man. And then not just with LeBron James. I just hear that a lot of time. Oh, you hating. Like, yo, let's stop using over that word, because words do have power, man. They do have power. And which is why I was glad that you said what you said earlier, because it was your Monday morning hacks. For those that not friend with him on Facebook already, please go follow my man John on Facebook. But like I told you, now me and you, we was going back and forth with text. It was I'm in a little season. I'll put it that way. And it was like when I read your post yesterday, your Monday morning hack. It was like, you know what? Like, I'm a choosing. I'm making the choice to take on this mindset of gratitude too. You know what I mean? Because it could be much worse. You know what I mean? I could be laying in a hospital bed. I could be not here at all. You know what I mean? But the fact that I am here where I am, I'm learning how to be grateful for where I am now. You know what I'm saying? Because it could always be worse, bro. You know what I mean? And when you shared that yesterday, it really hit home to me. And I was sharing it with somebody else. I was like, we got to be more show more gratitude to the Almighty. You know what I mean? Because I learned that years ago working at a hospital. I remember one day I was like, I had made up in my mind, had my 2-week notice on standby in my locker. And I was like, you know what? Today is my last day. And I was a transporter. I would bring patients down for their procedure at the time. And I remember being bringing the patients down for a CAT scan. And I remember standing in the elevator. And I could clearly remember my thoughts, like, you know what? I'm so sick and tired of this. My feet hurting. And as soon as I said that, I couldn't even finish the sentence in my mind. I looked down at the patient that I was taking down for a CAT scan. They didn't even have any feet, bro. Both legs were amputated. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, Lord, forgive me. Lord, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Because here it is, I'm complaining about my feet hurting. And this guy right here don't even have any feet at all. You know what I mean? So I learned that, you hear it growing up, but I started learning how to apply that. Like, somebody, no matter what you're going through, is somebody in a worse off situation. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, we don't really have anything to complain about.
Well, let's not just assume that he was worse off, because you gotta think about it. He might have been okay with his situation because he
Yeah,
don't have to
that's
buy
what I'm saying. I'm
he
saying
don't
for
have to
me.
buy
Yeah.
shoes or socks. He ain't got to worry about athlete's foot. None of that stuff. But be grateful where you are. I think that was the
absolutely.
point I was more trying to. I didn't want to take a dump on nobody else's situation and be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I could be you." No, I mean,
Exactly.
just be grateful where you are. Be grateful for what's going on with you was the point that I really wanted to get at. What are the opportunities that are in front of you where you are right now? And I'm gonna try to probably expand on that in the next couple of weeks too. So stick with me, man. I'm gonna keep rolling that same topic at least for another 2-3 weeks. So.
All right, bet. But yeah, man, since I believe it was Cincinnati. I know it was in the state of Ohio, but I believe it was Cincinnati. We had a tragic incident where a young man by the name of Rodney Hinton Jr. He ran down the officer. I preface that by saying this was after the same officer that was, unalive, Larry Henderson. He and prayers go out to both families. Let me start by that, because they both families have suffered loss. But the officer had killed his son prior to this. It wasn't like he just went and picked the cop to kill. You know what I mean? The cop had killed his son early. And I was just thinking about how unfortunate it was for you to be in a situation where, as a father, and you could attest to this, and Sam as well as Thomas, guys that's out here viewing. As a father, man, to know that you talked about it a little bit earlier, when it comes to race, we got to stop putting race into it. It's that's so hypocritical in terms of being an American citizen, in my opinion, period. Because everything is predicated upon race. You know what I mean? In this country. You know what I mean? Like we could have I don't care. Like we talking about something totally different now, but we talking about Shador. Now we talking about something else. You know what I mean? Even you being in the military, I'm quite sure you've seen different things in the military as it predicts to race. Like we got to stop this fake narrative that is about the integrity of a man and the character of a man. Like Martin Luther King said, when as American citizens, we know that race plays a part in it. You know what I mean? It plays a part in everyday society when it comes to being Americans. And this dude So first they say, like you said, that's the part of their playbook. He feared for his life. The officer feared for his life. That's why he killed the young man. But if you go and look at the body cam of that same officer, the kid they was in a stolen car, and the cops approaching them, and everybody break out. There's 4 individuals in the car. They all run in different directions. You see on the body cam this dude is literally running away from him. So how could you justify and say that he pointed a gun at you and you was at a fear for his life? What was he doing? Running and pointing backwards at you? Like, according to your body cam, he's running away from you. So how can you say, and John know a little bit about what I'm about to hand it over to John. But then the other thing that really got to me too was, bruh, just watching the different news reports about it. Old boy said, no, that's how they started. Recently retired Officer Larry Henderson. Okay, let's pause right there. If he's retired, what is he doing there? Period. Why is he? Why is he a part of this arrest? If he's retired, you know what I'm saying? I know when I worked at the airport, bro. Once you're no longer an employee, they confiscate your ID. You can't go on the ramp like you used to. You can't go. You don't have access to what you used to have access to, as opposed. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. But what's your take on this whole situation, man?
So they updated so now the news outlets are calling him an on-duty officer, but I did see where they said retired. When it first came out, I saw that. So like, I know they've updated it because I think they see the flaw in their logic too.
Exactly. It don't make sense.
There's court footage of, so they had like 30 some odd police officers in there during his arraignment to probably try to intimidate him. And he walked
I think
out
it was more
there.
than that, bro.
Yeah, but I mean, he walked out of there. He did not. I like how he kept his head up. He didn't. I think before we came on, I was telling you, I said, yeah, I'll be a controversial guest about this because I'm gonna say, man, like, so I would say this: if we took a look at all of the arrests that he's made over his career, I bet you we'd find at least 1 or 2 where he was dealing with a white perpetrator that was armed. Maybe even once or twice that they tried to actually, use violence against the officer. And I guarantee you he found a way to apprehend them without discharging his firearm, killing them, none of that. Like, they always find peaceful ways. A dude stabbing people with a knife, shooting guns at people. And they'd be like, but the officers brought him in without incident. It was 6 seconds in between the time he got out the car and he shot the fatal shots. 6 seconds.
6 seconds, bro.
How are you able to determine anything in 6 seconds?
Exactly.
So he just got out the car. They got a gun. To your right. Pow, pow, pow. Like, they decide before they get out, okay, here's a chance to kill one. Now I know what the script is, And, the father, before he went and ran that cop over, he saw the footage. He couldn't even stand to look at all of it because, he knew what was up, man. And, I think, I think the hypocrisy, man, they kill our folks all the time and there's nothing to it. And, then it's just like, whenever something happens, it's like, it's just sacred. Life is sacred. But I mean, we already behind the power curve because they was in a stolen car. So they obviously, they going to use that to vilify them. But, I ain't never seen any type of kind of law that says stealing a car is an executable offense. You know what I'm saying? Joyriding ain't electric chair, lethal injection. You know what I mean? So like,
you should being black should be either.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. So I think it's a culture that opens that. And what's crazy is, people try to say, well, it was some black cops there in support of him too. I'm like, white supremacy and racism don't need white faces to hold it up. There's plenty of black folks to do the work. Plenty of them.
Uncle
So,
Ruckus, Stephen from Django, Uncle Ruckus and Stephen from Django.
Yeah, man.
It might be fictional characters, but we know all of us know a black person that's just like that. Like, what's your boy? I can't stand him. I can't even think of his name right now.
It's too many of them.
I don't even watch him. He was somebody made a little video about him talking about the movie Sinner. Oh, Godfrey the comedian, and he was talking about Jason Whitlock.
Oh,
that cat did.
Oh,
Sinners is the most nakedly racist movie I've ever seen in my life. Dude, you never seen Roots? You never seen Mississippi Burning? Like, how is Sinners the most racist movie you ever seen in your life, bro? Like, stop it, yo.
He's a clown, man. He's a clown. He's willing to line his pockets up by talking points that are against his own cultural self-interest. But he don't care.
Yeah, that's it. And that's your right to do so. I give you that. That's your right to do so.
But you're a clown.
It's all right not to rock with you at all.
You're a clown.
On no level.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's his right, and he a clown. So yeah, man. I think this is just one of those cases, man, where you got a system that just gets so used to getting away with this stuff. Again, like I say, it was a playbook. It's a playbook. And they going through that. People might disagree with me because it's like, well, you don't kill because they killed. I mean, from a tactic standpoint, Rodney Hinton is definitely at a disadvantage tactically. But man, he did something. He showed up, man. And I think I honestly think that a lot of times we get too caught up in, well, we shouldn't strike back with violence. But I mean, we are forgetting what America is. It is a land taken by force, by violence, by destruction. Mm-hmm. Do you know why America is a superpower? It's because we've got violent forces posted all over the world. And one of the things that people know and they don't talk about is how lethal the United States military is. As much as we like to play around, one of the scariest things, people will tell you, one of the scariest things about the United States military is not only can they deliver lethal force, but they can deliver it with precision and on time. If you say you want 144 bombs to hit one spot over the span of 2 hours, there will be 144 bombs delivered in increments that are perfect, landing on target for 2 hours straight. Destroy. Like, what we into all over the world, that's why September 11th was so shocking, because don't nobody come to the United States and try to mess with us like that. Mm-hmm. Because we are so good at blowing up people. They talk about we ain't at war. Man, we always blowing somebody up. We blowing some people up right now. Mm-hmm. Even though the Department of Defense is inept. Mm-hmm. We already got some stuff going. We always into some stuff. So this is a violent country. Police forces are built off slave catchers and violence and doing these things. And sometimes the response to violence is violence. And we've been taught, oh, well, don't do this, don't do that. But hey, man, like, you're a man. You talked about your kids and what you love. Tell me how you gonna respond when you know somebody did wrong to what you love. Like, somebody do something to my son, we're gonna have a whole misunderstanding. I ain't there to have a conversation with you.
At all.
Yeah. So I understand it. I won't go as far as to say, or not, I won't go as far as to say. I'm not gonna even say what he should or shouldn't have done. I'm gonna say I get it. Mm-hmm. I get it.
He's like Chris Rock said years ago, man. I love black people, but I hate niggas. I understand. You know what I mean? I'm not condoning it, but I definitely understand. You know what I mean?
And again, like I said, I'm not even going so far to say I don't condone it. I'm not saying all that because I'm a father.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can sit from our positions of having our kids available to us and what we would do and what we wouldn't do, and we'll think about people who've lost kids. I ain't been in that situation, man. So
And not to mention, like you say, we're talking about fresh, where I just watched. You're not even telling me what happened. I just finished watching what you did to my child. I see you. What they say now, what the young people say nowadays, on site.
It's on site.
It's on site, bruh. I just watch you murder my child.
Yeah.
My inheritance, my legacy. So I can't. I'm not going to even sit here and act like, well, you know, like you say, to your point, well, he shouldn't have did it. He got to be more. No, and that's one thing that always get me too. You know, growing up in the inner city, when it comes to police brutality and different things of that nature.
Oh, it was easy for them, man. I done got beat down by cops, so and it was just a day at the office.
Yeah, like my first experience was when I was with 15 years old, bro. I remember the boys put me in the car, didn't take me to a precinct. They took me to a whole other side of town, put me in the back seat, beat me the whole way to where they took me at. They didn't take me to the precinct. I mean, beat me with the baton and everything else, and kicked me out on the side of the road and left me for whatever. Took all my money, get home the best way you can.
And that's crazy because that's exactly what happened to me. Like, and it's so common when we get together, tell these stuff. They gave me a rough ride. They beat me. They beat the crap out of me. And then I got bad credit because of my hospital bill.
That's crazy, bro.
I'm over that now, but I'm saying it was like negative credit because, you know, and then the city of San Antonio said, hey, we did an investigation and we found no wrongdoing.
Of course you didn't find no wrongdoing. Of course you did.
Because everything worked according to plan.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, I get tired, especially my peers or older people or people that I respect would, you know, will just comply. If they pull you over, just comply. Okay.
Philando Castile.
That's the first example that I always go to. He complied. He told
complied.
Me, listen, I got a weapon. I got a permit for it. If you give me a chance to show you my identification, I will show you that. Bang, bang, bang. He wasn't obscene. He wasn't out of pocket. So compliance doesn't guarantee you that you're going to live to see another day or another minute for that matter. You know what I mean? So I get tired of that. Like, just because you're wearing you got a badge and a gun don't give you the right to treat me any kind of way, to talk to me any kind of way. I'm not having that, bro. And people like, Mark, like I'm a different breed. And people be like, man, you got to grow up, man. You too old to be thinking like that. No, what's the old saying? I rather stand on my feet than living on my knees. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gonna go out of pocket. What you doing is I'm a black man, and I ain't coming at you on like that there. But you ain't gonna talk to me any kind of way just because you got a badge and a gun either.
Right.
That's period. That goes for any supervisor on the job or anything else. You're just not gonna talk to me any kind of way you want to because you feel like you're in a power position. I'm a grown man.
I'm a grown man. I'm not tolerating disrespect under no circumstance.
Period.
It just is what it is.
Period. And I don't need for you to understand that or nobody else to understand that. I understand that for my reality. You know what I mean? And I'm cool with that. I'll suffer whatever consequences that come with it. But you're not gonna disrespect me. Period. You know what I mean? But so you know, if you guys aren't familiar with that, like I said, his name is Rodney Hinton Jr. Go familiarize yourself with that because it's just getting underway. One thing that I did like, not that it's gonna help in this particular situation, but the first thing that they did, they didn't even try to get bond for him. But they went ahead and pleaded like he's meant, you know, they going under that new loophole now, mental illness, mental health. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's one of those things. It's like we talked about sports earlier. You know, that's the number one rule of sports. Like, you never question another man's injury, so to speak. But it's like, with Paul George, we seen his injury. You know what I mean? Kawhi Leonard,
We seen his injury.
you know what I mean?
You
Like
remember when his
Kawhi
leg?
Leonard, you stay hurt, but we ain't never seen you like take no, you know what I mean? Like, but just for integrity's sake, we don't never question another man, injury, so to speak. So, I like that they going with the defense chose to go the mental health route because that might be because it's harder to prove, mental stability, especially when you're just getting news that this dude murdered your child. Let's not negate that fact. You know what I mean? It's like it wasn't just random. You know what I mean? I'm about to go down here to the police station, and the first cop I see, I'm about to kill. Like, it wasn't that at all. You know what I mean? So hopefully everything go good with that. The Puff trial is underway, so they don't have any court cameras in the court as well in that, but they are doing jury selection. So we're gonna wait to see how that play out as well.
That was a random pivot.
I was like, we gotta wrap up soon. I know you gotta go. But yeah. I was just telling the people I was thinking about it, like, talk about court, keep stay abreast on both of those situations. And, I pray that this is one thing that bothers me when it comes to the court system. Like, and we see it on different shows and we heard it over the years. But the problem is, I know it to be true. Like, it ain't about right or wrong. It ain't about justice. It's about what you could prove and what you could not prove. You know what I'm saying? Who sells the best story, so to speak?
I mean, think about the bail system, man. Bail system just basically says if you got access to money, you can be free. You ain't less or more guilty, just got more money.
That's it.
And if you ain't got money, you gonna sit in jail. I think about Khalif Browder, who never got charged, but spent 3 years in Rikers Island. Eventually took his own life because of the horrors that he saw in there and was never charged. And what they were holding him in there for is they claimed that he stole somebody's backpack.
Come on, man. Where's the evidence of this? like you said, what's the charges? I'd rather have a bogus charge than no charge at all.
Right.
Like, why am I in jail and there's no charges against me, bruh? Which is why I tell people all the time, as much as I love the state, I would never live there. I can't do the Commonwealth like when it comes to Virginia. Because I know people that got caught up in that system and sat in jail for years, like you say, with no charges, no nothing. You're just waiting to go to court. But I'm talking about years. I ain't talking about a few weeks.
It's a whole bunch of other reasons not to come out here. The reason why I'm still here is because they got some amazing, up here in Northern Virginia, some amazing autism programs. But these taxes, they be taxing. They take all that tax money so they can hold you in jail.
Yeah. I like to ride through that way every once in a while. Like, I remember, of course, that's a whole other, like you said, pivot. But I lost my virginity up that way. Alexandria, Virginia. Shout out to Richmond Highway, Fort Belvoir. I still like every time I pass by the exit when I'm on 95, I'm like, oh boy, I got some memories here, man.
That's my neck of the woods too, bro.
And that's literally where my football career started, bro. Like, no joke. Like, with my cousin, we put the big speaker out there, and we stayed like in apartment complexes where all the apartment complexes were like back to back. And a bunch of us, we got there Saturday, we got the music blasting. And next thing you know, man, it was like clockwork. You got hundreds of people on their balconies watching us play football. And, I fell in love with the sport after that, bro. Because it was I'm talking about girls, cookouts, and all that thing. Y'all not playing today with them? Oh, yeah. Ooh. Yeah, bro. I love you some Alexandria, Virginia, but I got bad memories there. I love it, man. Before we get out of here, I don't know if you can speak on it or not. I wanted to ask you, man. I meant to ask Kev, too. I've been forgetting to ask him, though. What is so important about Greenland?
It's for us. We've got a base out there called Thule, and it's a strategic position for us, like forces coming from like the Eastern Bloc. So not only that, but it kind of keeps us in the game with what could be going on kind of up north, like North Pole and all that stuff too, man. So like it's a real strategic spot for us, man, and it's a pissing contest. It's not as super important as maybe we're kind of making it look, but it's very important strategically. And Greenland is it's a nation state, but it doesn't necessarily have sovereignty. Denmark is kind of like Beijing and China, kind of similar to that, but a little more harmonious than that. Um, so so yeah, man. It's a it's a strategic play, but you know, there's probably some other madness why, just the idea of it's a bully move because we know that uh they don't have a defense like that. And I think this administration is in love with the idea of conquering other areas. I think that's just an idea. I think he is fascinated with the fact that Russia went after Ukraine. And, he's fascinated with countries that want to go and do that old school. Yeah, we're gonna invade your country and take it and make it ours. I think he's fascinated with that power play. So there's no huge strategic reason why the United States should want it. It's all about ego. So.
Okay. Yeah, because I was wondering, like, I don't ever hear people talk about Greenland, like Greenland. Like, why is Trump so adamant
Because,
about
like, you think about it, Japan after World War, what was Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Was that World War One or World War Two? World War Two, because the
World War II? Yeah.
kamikazes was with Germany. So we blew them up, and one of the things that we said was that they couldn't actually have an army or a navy or an air force anymore because of how dangerous they were. And so, according to the peace accords and all that, they couldn't do that. But Japan is in a powerful position because if we tried to do something crazy to them, they could hurt us financially because a lot of the bonds that we have are controlled by Japan. And so all they'd have to do is turn over on those bonds and it would cause our economy to start to crash and things like that. And, so what this regime is doing is looking for nations that could be vulnerable. Because like they tried to go after Panama, and Panama was just like, man, F y'all. Y'all can kiss our ass. That's what Panama said. And so that's what it's about. It's not no big thing. It's just ego. Just ego.
And I'm glad you said that. I said, I know your military background, so that's why I wanted to ask you. But I always, in terms of that, this is one reason I always say, from the spiritual aspect, the Bible talks about how you got to pray for your leaders and people that have rule over you or what have you. You know what I mean? It's not that I support Trump. I could care less about Trump. I could have cared less about Harris, Biden, whoever in the office. I'm going to pray for my leaders because the way I always look at it, the analogy that I always use is like, I look at this country like the big bad bully. You know what I mean? And it's like, when you think about it in school terms, I watch more Al Jazeera news than I watch local news. You know what I mean? Because I care more about what's going on in the rest of the world than I do locally. Because I want, what's the old saying, especially in the hood, like you keep your friends close, but your enemies even closer. Like I feel like a lot of these different countries outside of this fake mentality of what the land of the free and the home of the brave in America is, they're tired of everybody bullying us. Like I tell people all the time, if you hit third grade, you got the one bully that's taking 6 different kids lunch. And y'all go through 4th grade, 5th grade. By the time y'all get to 8th grade, what everybody goes to. One day, them 6 kids gonna have a meeting and say, you know what? I'm gonna take one on the chin. but he ain't gonna get all our money today. You know what I mean? We all gonna jump on him. I'm gonna be the sacrifice token. And I feel like a lot of these different countries, they have that same mentality. Like, I'm tired of big bad America dictating on how we live our lives over here. They ain't got nothing to do with us and all that kind of stuff there. And the people like, you know, what's the relevance, Mar? I say, listen, how many times have you ever been on I-95, 40, 85, the 10 out there in California, and came across a German base or a French base or or Irish base? But yet, no, we got a presence everywhere in the world, bro.
Not everywhere, but we out there.
There you go. What'd you say? Within 2 hours, 144. Not 147, not 140. Precise. And it's like a lot of times. So therefore, I pray. It's not that I support Trump. You know what I mean? Whether I like it or not, whether you voted for him or not, that's the dude that's at the drive. He's the one that's driving the car right now. You know how it is. When you drive the car, you control the radio.
Well, I will just say, my brother, go with the God of your understanding on that
one. You know what I mean? It's like, I can't tell you this. I can tell you all I want to slow down, speed up, but if you driving a vehicle, you're the man behind the wheel. You know, I'm at your mercy. So I just, man, it's just a sticky situation, man. But I try to tell people, you know, be mindful of that. Like, I think it's not too far fetched. Or I don't feel it's like the same way we was talking about the cop and the Ohio Rodney Hinton situation. It's like, I don't condone it, but I definitely understand when other countries, so to speak, feel some type of way toward America.
Of course, man. I think on another show when we have more time, we can kind of dig more into strategy, because the being attacked by another country or nation state is low hanging fruit when you think about the whole strategic imprint of. There's a lot of other alternative outcomes that people don't consider.
Mm-hmm.
One of the big things is Trump desperately wanted to be president when we got to the 250-year mark. So we're coming up on that. 2026 is the 250. And, you know, when you think about great powers, there's a whole lot of kingdoms that still exist as countries, but they ain't what they once were.
Mm-hmm.
And historically, and a lot of social and political scientists and people with way more degrees and knowledge than I do, you know, the possibility of maybe the United States not being the superpower that it once was is very much a reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to look at countries like, you know, when we were growing up, it was the USSR, now it's Russia, with a whole bunch of countries around it that have developed themselves. Or you think about what, you know, Germany was. It was the East and the West, and, you know, Berlin and all of these things. And then you see what came out of that after the Berlin Wall collapsed and all of that. When you look at it, there's always been this arrogance that something like that could never happen to the United States, but it's very possible. And, you know, there's probably more possibility of an internal foe destroying the United States, or destroying it as the premier superpower, than it would be an outside force.
Yeah.
You know?
Because like you say, you know, you think about that. I was watching something about the Ottoman Empire many years ago before that, and the fall of that. But like you said, to your point, you see all these different rises, but the higher you are, eventually you're gonna have to fall, and you're gonna do everything in your power not to fall. You know what I mean? But it's inevitable.
That's why China is a very interesting case, because they've existed for 5,000 years.
There you go. Might not always be on the top of the food chain, not really at the bottom, but we're still here, and we're always going to be relevant. So that's they not they don't the Chinese don't have like the Shador mentality, so to speak. Blame, watch me shine. All that thing. They like, yo, we gonna stay even kill. You know what I mean? Because behind the
Well, we
scenes,
gotta be careful. We gotta be careful of judging Shador and being not saying nothing about Bezos and Musk trying to fly spaceships into the air, into space for no damn reason, just for their ego.
yeah,
Well, so we gotta be careful that we are willing to villainize Shador, but yet we don't have that same heat for them.
yeah.
And
And I'm definitely not talking bad about him. I mean, that's his right to be as arrogant, brash as he want to be. I'm just saying that's not everybody's approach. You know what I mean? But to your point, I'm glad you brought that up too, or that name up. Like, and I know we got to go, but talking about that a little bit to me, especially being in the military or previously military experience. How is it that
right, because people looking at me like he got all this facial hair. How is he in the military? I've been retired for over 3 years.
But how is it that this dude ain't never been on no kind of ballot? He has no official title. He has no position whatsoever. How is it that Musk is allowed legally, so to speak, to have so much say so?
That's not a military question you just asked. That has nothing to do with the military.
Oh no, I'm just saying. I just know you know about more about politics, and that's why I didn't mean military wise at all. I'm just saying
It's
you know more.
it's the lawlessness of this regime. People, when you say you don't have a difference between, I understand when people say that they're not pulling for a specific politician, because I'm more so of the opinion that both sides can hurt us. But at the same time, I tend to look to support um, the political side that I can resist better. You see what I'm saying? So like if I look at the government of a country that's not willing to really look at its sins in an honest way, then where do I have the best positioning? And to look at it, man, we knew that this administration was going to be bad before they set in. From who they were trying to put up there to who Trump was the first time we elected him, and all of this. So we knew that that was bad. So like the whataboutisms of, you know, both of them were bad. I think when we look at a time like this, we kind of got to have a more honest conversation. And for some people, maybe it doesn't touch them that way, but for somebody who has a special needs child and what they're doing with the Department of Education is going to impact my life. For somebody who has a mother with diabetes and insulin prices are going to directly impact her life. When you look at all of the government workers I know that served their country for 20 plus years and went and got government jobs and they lost their jobs, like these things are directly impacting people's lives. Seeing how ICE is just pulling up on people and taking citizens, like we can't normalize this, like, because I look at it differently, because I see direct impacts, and there are a lot of people it's not directly impacting, so they don't care.
Exactly.
I don't have the privilege to be that. But this is a lawless regime, and so obviously Musk paid the money, so he get to have all of the access. Like they went in. One, Trump refused to sign so they do an ethics investigation before you can take office. He's refused to do it. So he hasn't done any ethics. So he didn't do any of that. You have to have security clearances to be able to have access to a lot of the stuff that people have. And then one of the first executive orders was to say that they don't have to have a security clearance, and that's why Musk and his little band of little knuckleheads was able to go into all of these places. You got to have high level security clearances to be able to do what they did. But they said, "Hey, my people, I can just tell them that they can do it." And so it's a grift. It's an opportunity. He is right now publicly taking bribes to listen to different companies, different countries, all of these things. It's just a grift. And that's how Elon Musk was able to get access, is because this is a lawless regime. And they just doing whatever they want because they were able to sell a good quality brand of racism that made a lot of people that felt like they were losing their position in society. And so they sold this good old racism to them. And people was like, yeah. And you'll say, we all can say, well, it's a bunch of black people that support them. It's a bunch of black people that support racism. You know what I'm saying? They're selfish.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us forget, and I apologize, I'm getting long-winded, but a lot of us forget the social contract that if I pay all these taxes and I do all of this, like, yo, when you talk about how Americans are taxed to somebody from another country, they look like that's crazy.
What? Are you serious?
They tax us on what we buy. They tax us on what we make. They tax us on, they tax us 4, 5.
Own.
Tax us on everything. They tax us on everything. And so the idea that I would pay all this money in taxes to a government and that government don't have no responsibility to me, that's crazy. That's why we pay taxes, because the government has a responsibility to us. But no, they want to fire FAA agents, so the planes is crashing left and right. They want to fire the inspector generals, like the people that keep cruise ships safe and do inspections. They fired them. So you just own there can get any kind of sickness or disease. Like, it is crazy, but it is just so that really rich people can put more money in their pocket. How much more money? Like, I personally believe it should be illegal to be a billionaire, because that's crazy money. And we know some black millionaires and we're like, it's cool, but you got to think about it. Like, what is the need for $1 billion? Like, if me and you made $100,000 a year, in 10 years we'll be a millionaire. It'll take us over 1,000 years if we made $100,000 a year to ever be a billionaire.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That's crazy.
At the end of the day, what can you do with $1 billion? Like, people talk about generational wealth and all this other kind of stuff.
It don't take $1 billion to have $1 billion. Yeah, generational. None. It don't take $1 billion to have generational wealth.
Exactly. I've always said it. It was funny because I seen the old clip where Pac was talking about it, and it always fascinates me. I wasn't necessarily the biggest Pac fan, but I was as a rapper, but I was a big fan of Pac the man, because Pac was so much more than a rapper. He was so much more than an actor. You know what I mean? He was an activist. I like the way his brain worked. Similar to me, like, people always, man, you think deep. I'm glad that my age is getting up there, because the same way I think now, I was thinking like at 10, 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
Know what I mean?
Yeah.
On that type of brain, but him talking about, the fact that he's like, he said the same thing. He said, I think it should be illegal for how you, like, why you got to have 6 or 7 different houses where you can only do one, and you call yourself a philanthropist, but on the radio, 6 different houses, you ride by homeless people. You got a house, one of these houses got 15, 20 different bedrooms in it, but you ride past a homeless person. What do you need all these rooms for? How much?
Now they out here criminalizing being homeless.
Like that's make it make sense to me. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's hard for me to have faith in politics, in the system, so to speak. What like you say, before you can take office, you're supposed to go through an ethics board. How can you just say, I'm not doing that, and still take the office? That's like me going for a job and they say, well, we got to do a background check and you got to take a drug test. Well, first of all, I'm not giving you access to my background. I'm not taking a drug test, and I'm gonna start on 8:00 Monday morning. It don't work like that, bro.
Let me know how that works for you.
You know what I'm saying? It's the same exact thing, but Nobody's talking about that when it comes to Trump.
Yeah.
This dude is a convicted felon. But yet, no, I got to talk about whether I got a record or not on a job application.
Mm-hmm.
And you could not give me the job.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have a record. Not that I can't do the work. Not that I'm not qualified. All because of this. How do you get the highest office in the world? And you're a bona fide criminal. Technically, you should be in jail right now.
Right. Right.
But you're in the White House. Make it make sense. I have a hard time having faith in this.
It ain't giving you no reason to have faith in it.
Yeah.
It ain't giving you no reason.
Yeah,
There's
like,
no reason.
it doesn't make sense to me, yo. So it's like, you just can't tell me that the sky is orange, and I would say, okay, well, you told me the sky is orange, so the sky is orange.
So the sky is orange, but it's people out there that you tell them the sky is orange, and they like, well, you said it, so I believe it.
I don't understand it, man. I swear I don't understand it. That's why I always, like I say, I always specify. Be intentional about loving the ones that you can while you can, man. Because all this other stuff that we talking about and we going back and forth on, at the end of the day, they don't care. Like I always tell people all the time, back to, with sports. Giants and I don't literally I've been involved in fights over the Giants and the Cowboys. Like, you know what I mean? Physical altercations over some Giants and Cowboys. And I got maybe about 20 years ago, I said, you know what? I said, started thinking logically. I said, oh, it's crazy to me. We out here beefing.
They're not gonna fight for you.
All the jerseys out on board, all the t-shirts out on board, all the games I went to, parking, program, all that did. John Mara and the Tish family, they ain't never sent me a thank you for being a fan card on my birthday. I don't get free parking when I go to these games. Like, here it is, I'm going to fight for this team. They don't even know that I exist. Tell me how that makes sense at the end of the day. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing it no more. I'll talk trash just to be funny and hating all that there, but it's not that serious to me no more because I refuse to care about I care about somebody or something that doesn't reciprocate or care anything at all about me. It makes absolutely no sense to me. So we could let it get high blood pressure, stress you out when it comes to this politics and all that there. But at the end of the day, I choose to not let it take me there because at the end of the day, they're going to do what they're going to do. So guess what? In regards to that, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to chop it up with John. I'm going to text John just to check on you to see it. You know what I mean? Check on Kat. Hey, what's going on, bro? Like, because those are the things that matter. So I think we gotta take more ownership and accountability about being. I can't use that word enough. Intentional about showing those people what they mean to us while we can. Because when that casket laying up there, or the urn, or whatever the case may be, it's too late. It's too late. I don't want to hear nothing about, oh man, don't be at my funeral talking about, oh man, Marv, he was this and that there, and you never even spoke to me a day in your life. You know what I mean? You knew me from afar and all that there. Now you got all these stories. Nah, I need to know all that stuff right now because you just never know what the difference that it'll make in somebody's life. So we got to be real intentional about that there, as opposed to being so pissed off. I done seen people literally in a state of depression over this whole Trump thing. You're not going, I remember Jimmy Kimmel always talking about it before the election even happened. If Trump gets in, I'm packing up and I'm moving to a different country. Why you ain't left yet, bro? Like, it sounds good, but you still here. Like, so, and all this stuff sound good. You up in an uproar. I refuse to let this give that type of energy, because at the end of the day, it has no bearing on me. Trump ain't gonna do nothing for me. He ain't doing nothing for my family. I ain't got no $1 billion like Lil Wayne or whoever, no millionaire. I can make a call and you get one of my people out of jail or whatever the case may be. like I don't have those type of connections with Trump, Biden, nobody. So I'm gonna stay where I'm at and be intentional about making it count while I can. You know what I mean, on an everyday basis. But yeah, man, that's all I had for that. But I wanted to ask you because, like I said, I've been meaning to ask Kev, and I know Kev gonna give me a whole a thesis paper on it if I ask him. But I wanted to ask somebody like, what was the significance of Greenland? Because I'm like, we never really heard about Greenland in history or growing up in school and nothing like that. Did like, why is it so relevant, or why does he? So I really wanted to ask somebody, with military experience, what was the significance, or what was it about it? So I'm glad you answered that for me, or was able to check that off my question list, so to speak.
Yeah, man, it's just vulnerable, man. But yeah, look at that. We got 1 hour and 45 minutes in, man. So I got to get to daddy duty now, man. It's time to
No
get ready
doubt,
for school
man.
tomorrow.
No doubt. I might swing through. I'm going up to Jersey next weekend. So I might stop through. I'm gonna hit you up if I do. I'll let
Cool.
you know.
All right, cool.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Like I said, I definitely want to get you back on next week, next month for the 5th year anniversary, and around Father's Day, talk about fatherhood and all that kind of stuff. There, we did one show previously with a young lady, Michelle Ducker, about autism and special needs and all that kind of stuff there. And I said I wanted to do it more often, but we just never double circle back around it. Her schedule was conflicted, whatever. But I want to talk about that a little bit more because a lot of times it's not that. That's another thing that I realize in life too. Like a lot of times it's not that people don't care. It's just a lot of times people not really aware. You know what I mean? And I'm quite sure in terms of having a child that has special needs, you face different things than I would as a father. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean that something is wrong with your child. And I think that's a big. That's why I be wanting to talk about it more, because we look at it as like a negative thing, or what's wrong with the child. No, it's not necessarily nothing that's wrong with them. Everybody's different. You got skinny people, you got fat people. You know what I mean? Some people have gifts, some people not. It's gifted. You know what I mean? I was watching reading an interesting article. Rodney Holly Robinson Pete was talking about their son and having that conversation with him, how he needs to handle himself when he's out with the police and at work and different things of that nature there. And she was talking about how, anytime he's away from the house or outside of her presence, she's worried. And I remember reading your post last month or maybe 2 months ago about you and LJ walking somewhere and the way the dude was looking at you and all that whole thing there. So, there's a lot of different things that you encounter. Like you said, LJ, he a big dude. He a big dude. So it's like, just bringing more awareness to that. And for us on the outside, what can we do to help? You know what I mean? I always talk about that. It ain't even just with special needs, but married couples, sometimes you need that outlet. So, you can watch somebody that can watch the kids for a couple, so y'all can have a date night and different things of that nature there. But just different ways that we could come together, get back to, back in the day, being a community. You know what I mean? Not just individuals, but community and helping one another. You know what I mean? Because if you ain't never got to worry about going hungry, so to speak. And just getting back to that there. So how can we show more support to you guys and things of that nature there? So I definitely want to get together and do that. But man, yeah, I appreciate you, man.
Thanks for the invite, man.
No doubt, man. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, man. We're gonna be back with you next week. Possibly. I'll make a announcement throughout the week because I might be traveling. I might travel early, so I don't know. But I'll get back to you guys on that. But I hope all you ladies out there, all you godmoms, I hope everybody has a wonderful Mother's Day. It's upcoming Sunday. Thank you for the gift of our children as fathers. We want to say Happy Mother's Day early to all you ladies out there, our mothers, our spouses, our baby mamas, whatever the case may be, aunties, uncles, and all that there. I mean, aunties, not uncles, but Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. Y'all stay safe this weekend. And thank you for tuning in. And as usual, signing off, DeAndre and Lisa. Know that Daddy loves you intentionally. but I also love you unconditionally. So the next time, peace.